Welcome. Let's get started. Before watching, watch out for spoilers. Take care. Movie, Terraformer. In the 21st century, the Earth is critically overpopulated, and therefore governments and corporations decide to populate Mars. However, the red planet is not habitable and requires terraforming. It is carried out by heating the surface of the planet, and the release of gases stored in its thickness, to trigger the greenhouse effect, for it was decided to make the surface of Mars darker, for better absorption of solar energy. Moss was brought to the planet, and hordes of cockroaches, which easily adapted to the most severe environmental conditions, and could spread the specified moss on the planet. Several centuries passed, and it is time to reap the benefits of terraforming. 2597, Shokachi, with her girlfriend Nanao, escapes a police pursuit in a hugely populous city. Nanao is a former prostitute who killed her pimp when Shokachi fought him to protect her friend. To save Nanao from execution, Shokachi takes the blame for the murder on himself, and so they run headlong through the crowd. But they are cornered by several patrols, and weapons are pointed at them. An aerial car descends from the sky, with whom it depends whether Shokachi is executed or not. Contrary to the main character's expectations, he and his girlfriend are taken on board and taken to the office, where they learn that a mysterious stranger, Sayura Kara, is the organizer of the mission to Mars. After lengthy prefaces, he offers them the choice: execution of Shokachi for the murder he committed, and a minimum of 10 years in prison for his girlfriend, or sending them to the Red Planet on a planetary mission. Shokachi doubts he doesn't trust the people who captivated him. But his companion decides to sign a contract, sign up for a reward. Shokachi has to sign his name too. 2599 On a ship on the way to Mars, they get acquainted with the rest of the expedition, the dregs of society raised from the very bottom. Among them, representatives of the Yakuza, a terrorist, an underground fighter, a former police officer, and prisoners, a maniac, owner of a brothel, and the runaway from Russia. They all wonder why they have assembled such a motley team for such a simple mission. The mission is to prepare the planet for the landing of people on it. To do this, you just need to examine Mars, put up probes with poison, and spray it so that all the cockroaches die. So they do. The ship lands on the surface, the transformed, beyond recognition, the planet. Instead of red rocks and red sand, it is covered in green moss and real earth. There is breathable air. The captain breaks the crew into groups and sends them to explore the surroundings. The umbrella has already released a portion of the poison, and you don't have to worry about the local cockroaches. However, the members of the expedition did not find dead insects. Instead, they find Martians, large, humanoid creatures with large eyes, spines, and well-developed muscles. Shokachi and Nanao met from a representative of the Red Planet, at which point Shokachi learns that his girlfriend has agreed to a mission to Mars, for his sake, to save him from execution, and when this happens, the Martian appears. He advances slowly, not responding to Shokachi's welcoming gesture, then makes a sharp leap, barely perceptible with normal vision, grabs Nanao by the head, and breaks her neck. Then, just as quickly, he disappears into the Martian steppe. Returning to the ship, with the corpse of his friend, Shokachi finds out that another girl has been killed, and one of the representatives of the local fauna is sent to their ship. He demands an explanation from the captain, and the rest of the crew join him. The captain remains silent until Kohanda, the mission organizer, appears, and tells the ship's crew what happened after the cockroaches were sent to Mars. Despite extreme conditions, and thanks to solar radiation, the cockroaches mutated. Their accelerated evolution began. Over 500 years, they turned into humanoid, intelligent, and superpowered creatures that would not give up so easily. The first mission was sent, members who figured out what became of the cockroaches on Mars. They did not cope with the task of destruction, and therefore the participants of the new mission were sown insect DNA, providing each with an activator. Kohanda is not going to let go of the expedition until they inject themselves with the activator and destroy all mutated cockroaches. He reminds them that each has signed a contract, and will receive a reward upon returning to Earth. The captain warns that if you inject too much activator, you can remain an insect forever. With a normal dose of the substance, they will eventually take on their usual human appearance. Even despite this, the team does not dare to use the activator. They are afraid that it was because of him that these super strong inhabitants of Mars appeared. Only one of them turned out to be crazy enough to give an injection. The terrorist, nicknamed God, injected the activator by inserting a capsule into a syringe pistol and firing it in the neck. Each team member, in DNA, has particles of his own insect, and God turned, half, into a creature capable of releasing fiery jets from nozzles in the palms. His body changed, antennae appeared, and part of the shell, hands lengthened, nozzles formed on the palms. He left the ship to fight the mutant, killing Nanao, and the battle did not last long. At some point, everyone believed that God would crush the Martian. He even used fiery jets, almost defeating the cockroach. But he survived and tore the terrorist in half. Following, the cockroach jumped onto the ship's window and tried to break through it. Shokachi wanted to inject an activator to avenge Nanao, but the captain stopped him and injected his drug, becoming a half-unkillable ant. When the mutant burst in and cut off the heads of 2 team members, the captain laid him down in no time, crushing his skull. At this time, around the ship, a whole horde of the same cockroaches, thirsty for the death of people, gathers. The captain decides to violate Ko-Honda's order but immediately learns that his ship's systems are blocked, and they cannot take off. He quickly finds a solution and says that the crew will be able to escape, on the ship of the first mission, which is several miles away. The captain himself decides to stay here and distract the army of cockroaches. Almost everyone, except for his assistant, leaves, and he begins to butcher, one mutant after another, until people get to a safe zone. Before joining the others, Shokachi looks into the compartment where his beloved's corpse lies. He promises to come back to her and pick her up. And then he sees thin threads of a cobweb stretching from her head, somewhere to the side. The rover with the members of the expedition left the ship, and at the last moment, Shokachi managed to jump on it to get away from the mutant cockroaches. One of the team, a maniac who fell for the Russian girl Maria, takes the activator, and turns into his kind of beetle, and shoots jet stream, catching on the roof of the rover. He develops tremendous speed, and takes people away from the ship. The captain sees this, and orders the assistant who remained with him to close down all the windows and doors. When there are many cockroaches in the ship, then he orders to pump out all the air from the interior. The mutant cockroaches stop attacking him, and begin to choke. The surviving team members rush across the endless Martian desert, but then they notice a giant wave rising to meet them. They think that this is a tsunami, but it turns out these are hordes of mutant cockroaches. They want to crush them. The team decides to break through the wave, and they succeed. Following, comes the second wave of cockroaches, more impressive and numerous. To break through it, you need serious protection. Maria and her friend inject their activators, and turn into a beetle of such creatures, with an incredibly durable shell. They stand on the body of the rover to protect its engine, giving jet thrust. Transport also breaks through the second wave, but with great difficulty. Having broken through the thick of cockroaches, the rover does not stand it and turns over. The members of the team are left inside, unconscious, and the rover enters the autopilot mode. People who flew off the roof are seriously injured, and the cockroaches arrive in time to finish them off. On the ship where the captain turned off the air supply, the traders Ichiro Hiramo were left to help the captain, and Asuka Mariki. They received their own assignments, to find an egg of mutant cockroaches, and deliver it to Earth, to study the evolution of these creatures. They return the oxygen supply, kill the captain, and are about to take off towards the house. Meanwhile, Shokachi Komachi and the rest of the survivors arrive at the landing site of the first shuttle, where they find out that their predecessors sent a capsule with an unknown filling to the ground. They are being watched by a drone driven by Ko-Honda. Behind the ship from the sandstorm, a view of the pyramids built by cockroaches opens up. Then Ko-Honda reveals himself, tells the team why they were actually sent to Mars. Also, Ko Honda says that the first expedition sent the head of a cockroach to the ground. Only thanks to this, they were able to combine the DNA of humans and insects. The subjects themselves were planned to be abandoned on Mars at the end of the experiment. Ichiro Hiruma and Asuka Mariki take off on the ship on which their expedition arrived, removing the blockages, but the cockroaches of Mars do not want to let them go so easily. From the eggs carried by the traitors hatch, more perfect, mutant Gemini. They kill Mariki and Hiruma, but the latter only goes into hibernation, having managed to inject himself with the activator. Cockroaches outside the ship, at the command of more advanced and newly hatched brethren, spread their wings and take off, and make the ship fall back to the surface of the planet. The modified Gemini, together with an army of cockroaches, are advancing on Shokachi Komachi and the others. The same has already managed to test their own mutations, injecting activators. They deal with a squad of cockroaches, and along the way find out that they were able not only to build pyramids but also learned how to use weapons. When the army arrives, led by the twins, the surviving humans decide to fight. A fierce battle ensues, in which they kill everyone except Komachi and Jim Muto, the same street fighter. In order to survive, they inject a second dose of the activator, so they become stronger and faster. But the Gemini mutants are not inferior to them in strength and dexterity. They begin to gain the upper hand, so Muto decides to inject the activator again. He more and more turns into an insect, and kills more and more hordes of cockroaches, but cannot defeat the Gemini. Muto has to inject several more doses of the activator in order to kill at least one of the Gemini. His strength is running out, as well as the strength of Komachi. Hordes of cockroaches stand against them, ready to kill. But then something beautiful appears in the sky. Luminous moth, or butterfly, looks more like an angel. She seems to be woven from millions of cobwebs shining in the light of the sun. Cockroaches and people freeze in admiration. Komachi recognizes Nanao butterflies. She wrapped herself in a cocoon of cobwebs on the ship. And when the time came, she transformed into a butterfly, but at the same time, she ceased to be herself. With each flap of Nanao's wings, tiny pollen falls to the ground, enveloping everything around, including an army of cockroaches. Komachi realizes that Nanao wants to save them by blowing herself up in the pollen. He tries to stop her, but the surviving twin shoots the butterfly, triggering an explosive reaction. Muto saves the Komachi from the explosion but dies himself. Komachi, having turned into a man, sees the surviving twin of the cockroach. With several blows, he dumps him to the ground but leaves him alive. Returning to the ship on which the second expedition arrived, the Komachi find the traitor Ichiro there, who explains to him that he only wanted to save his family from hunger and death. They decide to fly to the ground together, and to avenge the perfect cavalry, they decide to fly to the ground together and avenge Ko Honda for what he did on Mars. They see a flying escape pod. Cockroaches are also preparing to take off to knock her down. However, the surviving twin who spared the Komachi stops them. He decides to give people a chance. Komachi, when they leave, farther into space, vows to return to Mars, because there is left, that which was once Nanao. On Earth, everyone finds out what the Ko Honda Corporation has done. Among his entourage is a government spy, Sakakibara, and when Ko Honda decides to betray Japan and flee to another country with his designs, Sakakibara tries to kill him. Nothing comes out. Ko Honda poisons the girl and flees in an unknown direction. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos of this kind. Bye.